Ah, the iconic that transitional blurring of reality as your motley crew of usually severely overleveled characters are suddenly, and more often than not irritably, transported into a preset arena in order to battle against a variety of predetermined foes. But despite the aggravating annoyance of a game whisking you away into a random encounter, usually when you're busy exploring or dangerously low on precious HP, the core fundamentals of turn-based battles is to instill some form of strategic thinking and planning, to give players time and space in order to decide on their next course of action, to give them choice. For Final Fantasy VII, this is the foundation which paves the way for its amazing Materia system. The star-struck love child of its job change system forefathers and Final Fantasy VI's Esper learning system, the concept for Materia is both easy to use but deceptive in its simplicity, harboring a deeper strategic core that can be extremely fun to mess around with. And here is why I absolutely love the gotta catch 'em all Materia system. Its amazing potential. How the mileage you get is dependent directly on how much effort and thought you actually put into it. Yeah, you could easily breeze through the entire game just barely engaging with the system at all, switching around orbs as needed, or you could decide to make every character an ultimate jack of all trades. Or you could tailor each character into a job-specific role. Or you could even create specific combos so that death itself no longer holds any real threat, as long as you have enough MP, of course. Ultimately, the Materia system is the epitome of choice. It's completely up to you to decide on how much or as little you want to delve into. But it's that choice which makes its marriage to turn-based battles a no-brainer. By the end of the game, you could literally have an avalanche, you see what I did there, of command menus to scroll through. It's all about choice. And yet, with battles within the Final Fantasy series shifting more and more towards real time, an unwelcome shadow begins to hover over the FF7 Remake, a metaphorical meteor, if you will, as we suddenly pose the query on whether we should start lamenting the loss of FF7's gameplay mechanics. Should we start lamenting the loss of choice? Now make no mistake here, I don't think many are going to actively argue for the loss of that traditional but if the remake does make a sudden shift into a more open-world enemy-on-the-field concept, does this necessarily also mean the sudden loss of the beloved Materia system? After the Dragon Ball Z escapades within both Advent Children and Dirge of Cerberus, it has become quite abundantly clear that, for better or worse, battles within the FF7 universe are meant to be visually jaw-dropping feats, or cue other relevant adjectives like spectacularly silly, over the top, or plain gravity-defying stupid! No, Cloud! How does that work? Do you even know how to physics? I guess it's not an unnatural step to take. Let's face it, unleashing a character's limit break was always a momentous occasion of, I'm about to bust some shit up! But the possible transition into an open-world action gameplay mechanic does suddenly limit that scope and depth of choice. How in the world are you supposed to navigate reams of Materia menus within an action RPG environment? We call to the stand our next witness, Final Fantasy XV. Now, Final Fantasy XV is a rather strange beast, that game that was once called Versus 13, with all its development woes and changing ideologies. It is a game that embraces the action RPG concept fully, presenting spectacular hack-and-slash battles within a beautiful open-world field. But its lack of options are immediately present. The menu is quite compact. You only have a limited amount of abilities which can be cycled through. The lack of magic is just utterly confusing. And for veteran players of turn-based who love that facility for choice, it is easy to see why you would be instantly disappointed. But let's not reach for our pitchforks just yet. Like we mentioned before, Square Enix has been working on the action RPG angle for some time now. We've had games within the series such as Crisis Core, and not to mention 10-2. Now, if you ignore the story for 10-2, like seriously ignore the story for 10-2 and concentrate on its gameplay, 10-2 was a really great attempt at developing a fast-paced system that also allowed for extensive menu navigation. If we got some kind of mutant hybrid of both 10-2 and 15, wouldn't that be the perfect battle system? An extensive menu system alongside fast-paced action, and an open-world gameplay where players jockey for ideal battle positions, something akin to the early 13 gameplay concepts even. Who knows? Let's face it, everyone and their dog will have their own ideal about what would make the perfect FF7 battle system. In this, Square Enix has an extremely difficult road ahead of them. Finding that perfect balance between keeping to the original game whilst also bringing about something fresh, intriguing, and inspiring for a new generation is something that I honestly wouldn't wish on my own worst enemy. There will be an outcry of epic proportions no matter what they do. All we can hope is that they do not take away our facility for choice, that somehow, in a world of gravity-defying Dragon Ball Z stunts, astonishing limit breaks, and over-the-top summons, our beloved Materia system, our facility for choice, will somehow remain intact. Is that too much to ask?